This is a trade recap for Thursday, April 2nd, 2026. Continuing on with one and done. This was number 6 of 10 for phase 3. This is just an exercise on developing consistency and discipline with day trading. So basically, it's a fairly simple concept where you just take one singular trade, and that is all you're allowed to take in general in a day. Typically, the first trigger or the first valid trade, and that's it. We're using a size of 3 to 5 contracts right now. We've been slowly working our way up, and yeah, has been going fairly well in terms of the results. We are also kind of doing this, or I'm doing this to find kind of that emotional, point where again, size starts causing an emotional reaction to start working that out of my system. So I can take larger size in the future without any issues. And this is kind of just the process of going through that. So if you're new here, yeah, that's kind of the point of this. And this is just more or less a journal on all of that. And this is a concept that came from my coach, Pat Mitchell, over at Trick Trades. And this is just one of the many things that he kind of gives the members in terms of how to work through and work past certain issues that they have to, again, get themselves to where they want to be, which is ultimately a day trader who is doing this on a professional level as a career, sole income kind of place. So, with that being said, let's just quickly jump over to his webpage. This is Pat Mitchell. He, like I said, runs a service, an education service, not an alert service called Trick Trades. Here you'll basically learn how to day trade on a professional level. He has been in this career for over a decade now. He proves day in, day out, live on screen share. He knows exactly what he's doing through his mentorship, guidance, and lessons. And every day, again, usually, again, there's good little nuggets of gold that he will drop, and he'll also give outright lessons, which, again, you can take to the bank as being purposeful, meaningful, and worth their weight in gold. Now, with that being said, if you want a sampling of the information he offers, he does have a YouTube page. This YouTube page has over 1,700 videos on it. There is a huge treasure trove of knowledge here. It will just be very, very difficult to comb through all of it and put all the pieces together yourself. But in theory, it would be possible. So if that's something you want to try to do, I'd say go for it. But probably easier just to kind of, honestly, just join the service and learn directly from the man himself. It really doesn't get any quote unquote easier than that. Now, with that being said, we can go ahead and jump into this morning's trade session. So this is a recording of this morning's session. We only ever trade SPY and Qs. Just those two, nothing more. Up here, these top ones are charts, order execution. This is SPY. Below, this is Qs. On the left here, 1 day or daily charts, so 1 day per candle is how this is laid out. And then the 1 minute intraday in the middle. And then I keep my order execution here on the right, just because I like it all on one screen. I can watch the price action as it's going on and, again, manipulating orders as I need to. Now, the night before and also the morning of is when Pat is starting to develop, again, the day's trade plan. He does that by just reviewing what's going on, see what's going on in the future, see what levels might be of interest, things like that. And then he will start striking levels. And that is these blue levels you see on both SPY and Qs. Once these are set in the trade plan, they do not move for any reason. They are static. And like I said, once that's all kind of locked in, I will then go ahead and add risk levels because I like a visual cue to risk. Um, it's just a personal preference. He doesn't do that. Others may or may not. Again, it really is personal preference, and that could always change down the road. So, as you can see, we had, well, maybe not here. I mean, I'll show it on the when we're in the live chart. We had a pretty decent gap down. So that kind of changed some things. When you have big gap downs, a lot of volatility, again, that can change things in terms of, again, the risk, what levels are valid and in play, and things like that, as well as the cost of premium. So just little things we have to watch out for and then maybe make some adjustments around. So SPY's opening towards the bottom of this channel. We have the 5 and the 9 moving average above it. Kind of see how those uh, come into play. And then with Qs, we're also opening lower on the channel with the 5 within the channel, but the 9 outside of it. So again, another thing to watch. So it's about 10 seconds before the open. So I'll go ahead and get started. And you'll see me again get some things adjusted in terms of the daily charts, order entries, things like that, just to kind of get it to where I want it. Now, one thing, again, I was trying to change this because as soon as we opened, we popped, we came in close enough to get started into the 5 on SPY for a quick trade. I wasn't fast enough to get my orders adjusted because I had calls loaded originally. So if that happens, you miss it, you miss it. And that's something Pat told us. Like, there'll always be another opportunity. So sometimes you just have to exercise some patience, which, given the past, 3 weeks or so, 2, 3 weeks, like, that shouldn't be anything new or anything that's honestly at this point really all that hard because we've gotten a pretty good run of having to demonstrate patience. So we'll kind of just step forward because it was a little bit before things got triggered for us. So again, as we get close to levels, I change things around just to see again, will there be an entry? You want to be, again, preparation is key. And that is something Pat always tells us. So if I had gotten in on that 5, get easily out, very green. But again, if you miss it, you miss it. It's okay. Then just again continue to step forward. As you can see, we came down a little bit, starting to kind of bounce, kind of break through that, start to work our way down. So it's like looking like we might get that trigger on Q's long. SPY still has a little bit more room to come down, so it's something to be cautious of. Get another reaction right there. If you're paying attention, you can figure out why did it bounce where it bounced before it got to the level. And if you do notice that, it's also one of those things where the importance of those areas that will come up again later on. So again, coming into the level, going to go ahead and enter with 1, getting ready to come through to, again, if it comes through, correct it. Again, probably looking at that pre-market range down here below for, again, the ideal place to kind of add. Um, if it gets there, that's the other thing, which it does. But again, because of the volatility, this is where I elected to not add. Though in hindsight, should I have? Yes. So again, it's one of those things like you notice these little things, so you make these little adjustments and you try to commit to making them. Now, this was kind of an issue I had yesterday, I believe it was as well. So it's one of those things where, yeah, need to, again, do better at that on my part. So again, it's like one of those things where kind of being a perfectionist. I mean, that's pretty damn close in there. So I should have done it, but I didn't for some reason. So again, these are all things that you take note of to work on. Because again, until you're kind of like at Pat's level, which is pretty high up there, it's one of those things where you're going to have things to work on. I mean, it's all part of the process. Like, don't be negative on yourself when again you discover these things. It's again, this is very, very difficult, or it can be difficult. And it's not even so much the mechanics of the market and trading that is difficult. It's the psychological, emotional issues and hurdles we have to get past with ourselves that generally prove to be the more difficult thing. I know that's been the case with me. So you can see, got a nice reaction there, coming back up. So just kind of seeing like what's it want to do. So go ahead, take one off. Potentially interested in getting re-involved in it with it if it comes down to test that level again. Quick screenshot. So again, coming down quickly to test that, see again where we're going to hold, get the order set up. Looking somewhat decent. Just giving it a moment to try and see whether or not, again, SPY wants to come down and test the level again. That's kind of what I'm eyeballing because I try to keep both charts kind of in view because they are linked to each other. So one SPY has more room to come down, it can pull cues lower. So that's why I'm trying to be patient and see exactly what's going on between both. So again, starts coming up. Looks like again, SPY's confirming that remount. And again, maybe not the cleanest entry, but again, I would say acceptable for what I was looking for. And then again, not giving it a huge room to run was green. So again, pulled it off. Was it probably a little early? Yes and no, because you did have, again, like right here, and I was watching. Um, but again, I'll show you something again that was, again, kind of good exercise as you see, kind of popped back up, held pop, and then just kind of runs. Now, like I said, if you were paying attention to those where it kind of bounced and stuff like that, it's like, okay, hmm, interesting place where it bounced and where it's driving into. So it's like one of those things where you kind of start noticing these things and marking them out. And this is something that Pat, again, was definitely, again, uh, giving us a lesson on is like, again, know where to get in, know where to get out. And there's a reason why he gets in and gets out where he does. And it's very, very interesting. So it's one of those things where, yeah, things to pay attention to, essentially. Learn how to read price action and do so in a very, very precise manner. So, yeah, all good stuff. Pretty straightforward trade. All right, now into the live chart. So, as you can see, came down, got that here, pull that entry up. Initial trade off, paid myself. Again, it was coming up into that pre market area a little bit, pulled back, re entered, continuing on with the same trade. It's essentially one trade. Confirmed and kind of, or remounted, bounced back up. Made myself probably a little quick on that one, but again, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, where is this bouncing? Where could it fail? And again, I'm like looking at where those potential points are. And then, yeah, if you had a larger account or a bigger position and you were working, again, you peel out at, again, targets and then, again, leaving little chunks to ride. It's like one of those things where, yeah, you can capture way more of this move. Came all the way up and then had a little pullback off of this level here. SPY, same thing. So it's one of those things where when you notice these things and you start putting all the pieces together, you realize there's nothing to really be super emotional about. And I would say being disciplined is almost easier if that's a great or a proper way to put it. I'm trying to, again, choose my words carefully. It's just, I don't know, maybe it's just the repetition and seeing this so many times that your confidence in these trades, again, continues to go up and up and up and up and up. And you kind of get past some of those doubts and things like that. Cause I can remember back when, I mean, 6 months, a year ago, like I would have way more doubts in terms of like a trade working, which is also one of those reasons why it's like, why am I scratch, small red, small green on some of these trades? Well, others, including Pat, is just again smashing it out of the park. It has nothing to do with again the strategy, the plan. They all worked. It's one of the reasons why again like our hit rate is so ridiculously high. It's very hard to believe unless you actually see it, experience it, and kind of have the proof. But it's yeah, it's revolves around yourself, your mentality, your psychological state, your emotional state, and where your hangups are. So that is something that I definitely say over the past couple of months in terms of doing like one and done and things like that has really revealed to me is again, the hard part, it's not the stock market. It's not the strategy. It's not following the plan. It's all in your head. It really is. And again, I know Pat's done like recaps of his own on this on his YouTube channel where it's like he'll literally give you the strategy. And it's one of those things where it's like the vast majority will still they'll try and follow it and they'll screw it up and it has nothing to do with the strategy. It has everything to do with the psychology of it. So it's the neurology and psychology, I guess you would say. So just some interesting food for thought. All in all, happy on the day because it is also a shortened week as well as technically Friday for us because tomorrow is market holiday. So the markets will not be open. So this was the last day of the trading week for us. But yeah, it's got some of those things where good food for thought, get a nice extended weekend, do some reflection, stuff like that, unplug a little bit, which is also good. It's also good to enjoy your weekends, not be again obsessing over these things. But again, if you have some time, also doesn't hurt to reflect. It really doesn't. So, with that being said, it's more or less all I have. Good day in the market. Yeah, chalk it up to another green trade, and that's all I have. Hope everyone has a great weekend, and we will see you Monday for the next one. Later.